In the vast darkness of space, massive warships surrounded Earth. These ships belonged to the Galactic Hegemony, ruled by the Valkyrie. Their weapons pointed at the blue planet below, ready to destroy everything. Commander Taewon stood on his command bridge, watching Earth through the main viewscreen. His gray skin reflected the red alert lights as he gave the final order. "Begin planetary cleansing," he said coldly. The ships fired together. Beams of energy cut through Earth's atmosphere, striking cities and turning them to ash. Oceans boiled. Forests burned. The attack lasted 3 days without pause. When it was over, Taewon studied the sensor readings with satisfaction. Another primitive species removed. Mark Earth as cleansed and update the records. His second-in-command nodded. The humans posed no real threat, but their resources will serve the hegemony well. "All species either serve us or make way for those who will," Taewon said, reciting the Valkyrie Creed. "Set course for the home system. Our work here is done." The hegemony fleet moved away from the smoking ruin of Earth, confident in their victory. They believed humanity was now extinct, just another failed species in their growing empire. They were wrong. Deep beneath the Antarctic ice, Dr. Han-jae Kim worked frantically in an underground base that had somehow survived the attack. Around him, the last 5,000 humans prepared to leave Earth forever. "The final ship is ready," his assistant Daeho reported. "All cryopods are functioning." Han-jae nodded grimly. For years, a secret group of scientists had prepared for this possibility. They had built 7 massive ships, hidden them from both human governments and alien detection, and developed technology that might give humanity a chance to survive. "Begin boarding sequence," Han-jae ordered. "We have less than 6 hours before the base's air runs out." People filed into the massive ship, carrying what little they could save from their former lives. Many were crying. Some looked back as if hoping to memorize what Earth looked like, even though they were underground. A young engineer named Subin approached Han-jae. "The other 6 ships have reported successful jumps. They've reached the rendezvous point." "Good," Han-jae said. "At least some of us will survive." The ships carried seeds, DNA samples, and cultural records, everything needed to rebuild humanity someday. They also carried weapons research and defensive technology that had been developed in secret after the first Valkyrie scouts were detected near Jupiter 5 years earlier. Soon only Han-jae and his core team remained outside the ship. They performed final checks as the base trembled from aftershocks. "It's time, Doctor," Daeho said. "We need to go." Han-jae took one last look at the base that had been his home for a decade. Then he followed the others into the ship. Once inside, he addressed the passengers through the intercom. "We are leaving our home, but we are not leaving our humanity behind. Stay in cryostasis until we reach the coordinates. Our children, or our children's children, will rebuild what we've lost." The ship rumbled as its engines powered up. The ceiling above them opened, revealing a sky filled with smoke and ash. Snow fell into the hangar as the ship slowly rose. "Cloaking technology active," Subin reported. "If any hegemony ships are still in orbit, they won't detect us." The massive vessel broke through the clouds, past the debris of destroyed satellites, and into the empty blackness of space. Earth grew smaller behind them, a once blue planet now wrapped in gray and red wounds. "Jump drive charging," Daeho announced. "Ready in 10 seconds." Han-jae closed his eyes. "For Earth." The ship vanished in a flash of light, traveling faster than should have been possible. The experimental drive took them beyond hegemony space to a distant asteroid field where the other ships waited. There, in the shadow of an unnamed gas giant, the survivors established Haven Colony. They built habitats inside large asteroids, hidden from detection. They practiced using resources efficiently and focused on developing technology to protect themselves. Over the decades, Haven grew. Children were born who had never seen Earth. They were raised on stories of their lost home and the enemy who had taken it from them. "We will return someday," the elders promised. In secret laboratories, Haven scientists worked tirelessly, reverse engineering Valkyrie technology from data collected before Earth's fall. They created new weapons and defenses specifically designed to counteract hegemony systems. For 200 years, humanity rebuilt and planned in complete secrecy. The Valkyrie in their hegemony believed humans were extinct. But humans survived. And they remembered. 200 years after Earth's destruction, Commander Jihoon stood on the bridge of the stealth ship Vengeance. The vessel hung silently in space near a busy hegemony trading post. Though they were close enough to read the markings on hegemony ships, none of the alien vessels had detected them. "Cloaking systems working perfectly," said Navigation Officer Eun-ji. Her fingers moved across the control panel, making small adjustments. "We could fly right through their defense grid and they wouldn't see us." Ji-hoon nodded. Haven had grown into a small but powerful civilization hidden among the asteroids. Their technology had advanced in ways the hegemony couldn't imagine, focused on stealth and countermeasures against Valkyrie systems. "Scan complete," reported Tactical Officer Minho. "I'm seeing something interesting in their communications." Ji-hoon moved to Minho's station. "Show me." The screen displayed intercepted messages between hegemony ships. They spoke of unrest on several worlds, trouble with subject species, and thinly stretched forces. "They're facing rebellions," Ji-hoon said, surprised. "The mighty hegemony isn't as stable as they want everyone to believe." This was the fourth reconnaissance mission they had undertaken, moving closer to hegemony core systems each time. What they had learned changed everything. "We aren't just survivors anymore," Ji-hoon told his crew, looking at each of their faces. "We could be liberators." Back at Haven, Ji-hoon presented his findings to the Council of Elders. The oldest among them, Grandmother Jin-suk, listened carefully to his proposal. "You want to attack the hegemony?" she asked when he finished. "After all our work to stay hidden?" "Not a full frontal assault," Ji-hoon explained. "Hit and run tactics. We strike their outposts, free prisoners, and disappear before they can respond." Young council member Kyungmin stood up. "I support this plan. We've been hiding long enough." After hours of debate, the council approved Ji-hoon's strategy. 6 stealth ships would form the core of what they called the Ghost Fleet. 3 months later, the fleet approached its first target, a small hegemony research station near the edge of their territory. The station studied captured members of various species, experimenting on them. "Weapons ready," Minho reported as they closed in. "Defense grid targeted." "Fire," Ji-hoon ordered. The Vengeance fired precision shots that disabled the station's defenses without destroying the structure. The other ghost ships moved into position around the station's docking bays. "Boarding teams ready," Eun-ji said. Ji-hoon stood and checked his weapon. "Let's introduce ourselves to the hegemony." They boarded the station wearing advanced armor designed to counter Valkyrie weapons. The station's guards were caught completely by surprise, most had never even seen a human before. "Impossible," gasped a Valkyrie officer as Ji-hoon's team cornered him. "Your kind is extinct." "Clearly not," Ji-hoon replied before stunning him. The Ghost Fleet freed over 300 prisoners from 12 different species. They downloaded the station's research data and planted charges to destroy the laboratories. Then they vanished, leaving the hegemony guards alive but confused. Similar attacks followed. The Ghost Fleet struck hegemony outposts across the border regions, always disappearing before reinforcements arrived. They never killed unnecessarily but made sure the hegemony knew who was attacking them. After each mission, they broadcast the same message to nearby systems: humanity has returned. Those oppressed by the hegemony can find allies in the ghosts of Earth. Rumors spread quickly. Stories of human ghosts seeking vengeance traveled through the hegemony faster than their ships could respond. Some said humans couldn't be killed. Others claimed they could walk through walls or turn invisible. 6 months into their campaign, the Ghost Fleet intercepted an emergency transmission from the hegemony High Command. "This is not a drill," said the Valkyrie admiral in the recording. "All commanders are to report confirmed human sightings immediately. The Supreme Council has made this the highest priority." Ji-hoon smiled as he watched. "They're scared." "They should be," Minho replied. On their 8th mission, the Vengeance discovered something unexpected, a prison transport carrying members of the Novan species, known for their telepathic abilities. The Novans are heavily suppressed, Unji reported after scanning the ship. They're wearing neural inhibitors. Jihoon studied the transport specifications. We can free them. Prepare for boarding. The Ghost Fleet surrounded the transport. This time, the hegemony guards fought harder, but were still no match for human technology. As Jihoon's team moved through the transport, freeing prisoners, a female Novan stared at him in disbelief. "You're human," she said, her voice hoarse from lack of use. "We thought you were extinct." "The hegemony thought wrong," Jihoon replied, helping her remove the neural inhibitor. The Novan introduced herself as Kira. "My people have stories about yours. The hegemony uses humans as an example of what happens to those who resist." "Well," Jihoon said with a slight smile, "it seems we're writing a new ending to that story." The Ghost Fleet traveled through deep space with their rescued Novan passengers. The Novans had pale blue skin and large eyes that seemed to see beyond physical reality. They had recovered quickly once their neural inhibitors were removed. "Your minds are different from other species," said Kira, the Novan leader, as she walked with Jihoon through the Vengeance. "You guard your thoughts naturally." The Valkyrie feared this about humans. Jihoon raised an eyebrow. "The mighty hegemony was afraid of us?" "More than you know," Kira replied. "It's why they attacked Earth without warning. Your adaptability frightened them." In the ship's meeting room, Tactical Officer Minho displayed images of hegemony territory. "With the Novan's help, we've identified 20 more prison worlds and labor camps." "Too many for us to strike alone," Jihoon admitted. Kira stepped forward. "You don't have to fight alone. There are billions of beings suffering under Valkyrie rule who would join you." "An alliance?" Unji asked, looking skeptical. "How could we coordinate something like that?" "Through us," Kira touched her temple. "Novans can communicate across vast distances. We could connect resistance cells throughout hegemony space." The idea spread quickly among the human leadership. Within weeks, Haven Colony welcomed Novan refugees and representatives from 3 other species who had heard rumors of the Ghost Fleet. In the colony's central dome, Jihoon addressed the gathered aliens. "For 2 centuries, humanity has hidden and prepared. Now we see that we're not alone in our struggle. Together, we can challenge the hegemony." The alliance they formed called itself the Reclamation, those who would reclaim their freedom and their worlds. The Novans became their communication network, the humans provided advanced technology, and other species contributed knowledge of hegemony systems and territories. Meanwhile, on the hegemony capital world, reports of human activities created chaos in the Supreme Council chambers. "Impossible," shouted a young Valkyrie counselor. "Humans are extinct. These are imposters or shapeshifters." Supreme Counselor Hojin, oldest of the Valkyrie leaders, raised his hand for silence. "The evidence is clear. Somehow, humans survived our cleansing of Earth." "Then we must finish what we started," said another counselor. "Send the fleet to hunt them down." Hojin shook his head. "Our forces are already stretched thin with rebellions on 12 worlds. We need someone who understands humans." He pressed a button on his console. "Bring in General Taewon." The chamber doors opened to reveal an ancient Valkyrie. His skin was faded gray, his movements slow, but his eyes remained sharp. General Taewon had led the original attack on Earth 2 centuries earlier. "The humans have returned," Hojin told him. "We need your expertise to eliminate them once and for all." The old general studied the holographic images of the Ghost Fleet's attacks. "These aren't just random strikes. They're gathering allies." He looked up at the council. "This is more dangerous than you realize." Back in Haven Colony, the Reclamation's first major operation was taking shape. Intelligence gathered by their growing network identified a hegemony data center that contained information on all subject species and hegemony military deployments. "If we capture this facility," Jihoon explained to the alliance leaders, "we'll have access to the entire hegemony network. The mission would be risky. The data center orbited a heavily guarded hegemony world, with sensor arrays that might detect even the Ghost Fleet's cloaking technology. "We'll need a distraction," said Sangmin, a tactical expert. "Something big enough to draw their defense forces away." Kira smiled. "The Novans on Corva 4 are ready to help. They've been preparing their uprising for years." The plan came together quickly. The Novans on Corva 4 would stage their rebellion, pulling hegemony forces away from the data center. Meanwhile, the Ghost Fleet would slip in and capture the facility. 3 days later, as the rebellion erupted on Corva 4, 6 Ghost Fleet ships approached the data center. Despite their caution, an alert sounded on the Vengeance Bridge. "We've been detected," Unji reported, hands flying over the controls. "New type of sensor array. They're locking weapons. All ships, engage," Ji-hoon ordered. "We can't turn back now." The Ghost Fleet dropped their cloaking and attacked directly. Their advanced weapons tore through the data center's defenses, but hegemony reinforcements were already responding. Ji-hoon led the boarding team himself, fighting through hegemony guards to reach the central core. Engineer Hyunsu connected to the system and began downloading files. "I found something," Hyunsu said suddenly. "The Valkyrie have a critical weakness. Their neural network technology has a fundamental flaw in its security architecture." "Can we exploit it?" Ji-hoon asked. Hyunsu nodded slowly, understanding dawning on his face. "We could create a virus that would disrupt their entire command structure. Every Valkyrie ship, every base, every system controlled by their network." Ji-hoon looked at the information scrolling across the screen. The Reclamation had just found the key to defeating the hegemony. "Download everything," he ordered. "We need to get this back to Haven." 3 weeks after capturing the hegemony data center, leaders of the Reclamation gathered in Haven's underground war room. Engineer Hyunsu stood before a large holographic display showing the complex structure of the Valkyrie neural network. "The Valkyrie connect everything through this system," Hyunsu explained. "Their ships, weapons, even their personal implants. It's their greatest strength, but also their greatest weakness." Ji-hoon studied the glowing web of connections. "And you found a way to attack it?" "Yes," Hyunsu nodded. "We've created a virus that can disable their network completely. Once uploaded to any main hub, it will spread throughout their entire system within minutes." Kira, the Novan leader, stepped forward. "My people report that the hegemony is gathering forces. General Taewon has been given command of their fleet. They're preparing to hunt us down." "Then we strike first," Ji-hoon said. "We'll call it Operation Lazarus." The name was fitting, Lazarus, from old Earth legends, who returned from death. Just like humanity. The plan was ambitious. Resistance cells across hegemony space would rise up simultaneously while a small team infiltrated the capital station to upload the virus. Meanwhile, the Ghost Fleet would engage Taewon's forces to prevent them from stopping the upload. "This could end the war," Ji-hoon told his crew aboard the Vengeance. "But it will be our most dangerous mission." Using intelligence from the Reclamation's network, they plotted a course to the hegemony capital. The massive space station orbited the Valkyrie homeworld, heavily defended by hundreds of warships. As they approached, Ji-hoon received a message from Haven. On the screen appeared Grandmother Jin-suk, her face solemn. "Our latest information suggests General Taewon has discovered our plan attack," she said. "Be careful, Commander. This man destroyed Earth. He won't hesitate to finish what he started." Ji-hoon assembled his infiltration team. Himself, Hyunsu to upload the virus, Unji for navigation, and Minho for combat support. They would use a captured hegemony shuttle to approach the station while the Ghost Fleet engaged Taewon's forces. "Remember," Ji-hoon told them as they prepared, "everything depends on uploading that virus. Nothing else matters." The shuttle departed from the Vengeance using stolen hegemony codes to bypass initial security. As they approached the massive station, they saw hegemony ships moving into defensive formations. "They're preparing for something," Minho observed. "But I don't think they've spotted us yet." The shuttle docked successfully at a maintenance bay. Ji-hoon's team moved quickly through service corridors, avoiding patrols. Hyun-soo consulted a map on his wrist device. "The central network hub is 3 levels up," he whispered. "Heavy security." They reached a lift and rode it upward. When the doors opened, 4 Valkyrie guards stood waiting. "Intruder alert," one shouted, raising his weapon. Minho moved with incredible speed, firing stun blasts that dropped 3 guards before they could react. Ji-hoon tackled the 4th, knocking him unconscious. "That's Tornit," Eunji said. "They know we're here now." Alarms blared through the station. Ji-hoon's team ran toward the network hub, encountering increasing resistance. They fought their way through corridors, using the advanced weapons developed on Haven. Outside the station, the Ghost Fleet had dropped their cloaking and engaged Taewon's forces directly. The battle was ferocious. Human ships moved with unexpected agility, their weapons cutting through hegemony shields. Aboard his flagship, General Taewon watched the battle unfold. "They've improved their technology," he noted. "But they're still outnumbered." His second-in-command approached. "General, we've detected intruders on the capital station. They appear to be heading for the network hub." Taewon's eyes narrowed. "That's their real target. Prepare my shuttle." Inside the station, Ji-hoon's team finally reached the network hub. The doors were sealed, but Hyun-soo quickly bypassed the security. "Hurry," Ji-hoon urged as Hyun-soo connected his device to the main console. "We don't have much time." Hyun-soo's fingers flew across the interface. "Starting the upload. It will take 3 minutes to complete." The doors behind them burst open. A squad of elite Valkyrie guards entered, led by an elderly Valkyrie in a general's uniform. "So," said General Taewon, his voice surprisingly strong for his age. "At last I meet the ghosts of Earth." Ji-hoon aimed his weapon at the general. "The upload is already starting. You can't stop it." "Perhaps not," Taewon acknowledged. "But I can still eliminate the last humans." The guards opened fire. Ji-hoon and Minho returned fire while Eunji protected Hyun-soo, who continued the upload. 2 minutes remaining, Hyun-soo reported. The firefight was intense. Minho took a hit to his shoulder but kept fighting. Ji-hoon found himself facing General Taewon directly, the destroyer of Earth. "Your species should have accepted its fate," Taewon said, raising his weapon. "We make our own fate," Ji-hoon replied, diving for cover as energy blasts scorched the wall behind him. "Upload complete." Hyun-soo shouted triumphantly. Throughout the station, lights flickered. Across hegemony space, their systems began to fail as the virus spread through their network. Operation Lazarus had succeeded, the virus spread through the hegemony's neural network like wildfire. On thousands of worlds, Valkyrie control systems failed. Defense grids went dark. Communication networks collapsed. Ships lost power and drifted in space. Inside the capital station's network hub, General Taewon watched in horror as red warning lights flashed across every screen. His personal neural implant, connected to the system, caused him sudden pain as it malfunctioned. "What have you done?" he gasped, dropping to one knee. Ji-hoon stood over the ancient Valkyrie, weapon pointed at his head. "We've done what you tried to do to us. We've ended your empire." Through the large viewport, they could see hegemony ships floating powerless while ghost fleet vessels moved freely among them. Throughout hegemony territory, subject species were rising up, throwing off centuries of oppression. "Kill me then," Taewon said, looking up at Ji-hoon. "Complete your revenge." Ji-hoon's finger tightened on the trigger. This was the moment he had dreamed of, facing the destroyer of Earth, the man responsible for humanity's suffering. He thought of the stories passed down through generations, of the billions who had died. Then he lowered his weapon. "No," Ji-hoon said. "We're not like you. We don't exterminate species." He stepped back. "You will face justice, but not execution." Hyun-soo approached, checking his device. "The virus has reached 98% of hegemony systems. It's over." Ji-hoon nodded. He activated his communicator. This is Commander Jihoon to all reclamation forces. The operation was successful. Secure your areas and treat prisoners with dignity. Throughout hegemony space, subject species declared independence as Valkyrie forces surrendered. The massive empire that had dominated the galaxy for 1,000 years collapsed in a single day. 3 months later, representatives from 57 species gathered on the neutral world of New Haven, built from the original human colony. They came to form a new galactic government. Jihoon stood at the entrance to the Grand Assembly Hall, greeting delegates as they arrived. The Novans, the Terrell, the Vosh, and dozens of other formerly oppressed species had sent their leaders. "I never thought I would see this day," said Kira, now serving as the Novan representative. "So many different beings working together." "It wasn't just our victory," Jihoon replied. "It belonged to everyone who fought against the hegemony." A hush fell over the crowd as the next delegate arrived, a Valkyrie female named Namsun, leading a small delegation. "Commander Jihoon," she said formally. "I represent the reformed Valkyrie coalition. We seek admission to your new alliance." Many in the crowd murmured in disapproval. The Valkyrie had been their oppressors for centuries. Jihoon raised his hand for silence. "The past cannot be undone," he said to the assembly. "But we can build a different future. If we exclude anyone, even the Valkyrie, we become what we fought against." After much debate, the Galactic Confederation was formed with representatives from all species, including the Valkyrie. Their first act was to establish laws protecting the rights of all sentient beings. Their second act was to approve the reclamation of Earth. 6 months later, Jihoon stood on the Bridge of the Vengeance as it entered Earth's solar system. Much of the fleet accompanied them, carrying scientists and terraforming equipment. Approaching Earth orbit, Moon-ji announced. "Sensors show atmospheric conditions are still toxic, but within parameters for our technology to address." Earth appeared on the viewscreen, a gray and brown world, scarred by centuries of radiation and climate collapse. Yet it was still home. "Begin terraforming operations," Jihoon ordered. "It will take decades, but we will restore our world." The first teams descended to the surface in protected suits. They established bases in the least damaged areas and began the long process of cleaning the atmosphere and soil. 5 years later, Jihoon stood on Earth's surface without a protective suit for the first time. The air was thin but breathable in this small valley where the terraforming had progressed fastest. Small green plants grew around his feet, the first Earth species to return to their native soil. Beside him stood his daughter Minna, born on New Haven 3 years earlier. She had never known the fear and hiding that defined earlier generations. "Is this really our home?" she asked, looking around curiously. "It is now," Jihoon replied. He pointed to a distant mountain where the sun was rising. The light caught a ribbon of water flowing down its side, a new river forming in what had once been a dead landscape. "The hegemony thought they ended our story," he told his daughter. "But we were just beginning a new chapter." Minna picked up a small stone and held it tightly. "Will there be more fighting?" Jihoon shook his head. "We didn't just survive, Minna. We made the galaxy better. Your generation won't know war like we did." Around them, other humans were setting up equipment, taking samples, planning new settlements. In orbit, ships from a dozen allied species helped with the terraforming efforts. Humanity had returned home, not just as survivors, but as architects of a new and better galaxy.